So I've been seeing a lot of spirit symbology again lately, specifically numbers, but also the other day I saw a beetle outside, a very large one, and I actually had to snap a picture of it with an app that I have to identify it, and it sure enough was a sort of a scarab beetle. And so the spiritual symbology of it is about the cyclical nature of life. And also it represents the idea of moving from darkness into light, or turning darkness into light, or turning mud into gold, so to speak, right? It also says that much like the beetle rolls its ball of dung and transforms it, that's kind of the symbology behind it. And spiritually, it encourages us to embrace change, trust in the process of transformation, and believe in our own ability to renew ourselves. So that's pretty cool. I also had at the same time a lot of numerology coming up, like the number 17, 7, 11, and 11, also 22. 17 can symbolize spiritual growth and new beginnings, also leadership. 11 symbolizes spiritual insight, and it's a master number, and also is about intuition and manifestation, same as the number 22 in a very similar way. However, 22 is also about intuition and psychic abilities, also stability, so creating some kind of stability around your psychic abilities and your insights. And normally, like, if I see the symbol once or twice, I don't get wild about it. But if I'm seeing it multiple times a day for like days or even weeks at a time, and it's like crazy like that, I know it becomes more significant. So the number 17, I see it like 20 times a day, which is pretty crazy. It's a lot. And so I've been really paying attention to the things that I'm feeling or sensing, or inspiration that is coming in, trying to tune myself into my awareness a bit more. I know I've been very busy summer with people visiting and courses that I've taken and all that. And sometimes we kind of are too distracted to notice that there is something coming in that we need to pay attention to, which is our inspiration and our insights about what we want to do with our lives, or what we want to create in our lives. I know that there is a book I'm supposed to write, and I've been avoiding it. And it's more than just avoidance. It is like my brain avoids it because it means I would have to face something yet again that I feel like I've already faced and dealt with. And it's hard that when you move past something to go back into it and dig it up again or bring it back to the surface again. It's just really hard. The mind doesn't want to do that. You know, I know and I remember, but I think in a way I will always sort of feel like I will always remember it. I will always know. And on some level I do. But you know what happens is you will forget the details. And the details, that is really where the story is at, right? When you're a writer, you know that the important part about writing is to bring out the details and the specifics of a story, you know, that brings something to life and creates the mental image for a reader, you know, when you bring up the details. And so I really feel like I'm receiving all this inspiration and insight, or all these signs and symbols, because I'm being called to do the work. Because, you know, before I forget all of these details that I worked up so many years ago, I started working up all of the details about 5 to 10 years ago. And so the longer that I wait, the more likely I am going to fall back into forgetfulness. Not that I feel that I will ever completely forget everything, but I might no longer remember all of the details that would create a really good mental image for a reader, and really help people understand things from that perspective. I think it's really important. Like you gotta listen to your inner nudgings and your inner voice when it is telling you something, even when it's hard. And things aren't always going to be easy. We sometimes think that things should be easy or they should come easy for us. And if it's too hard, then it's not for us. This is actually a complete delusion. That's not true, The things that are worth your while, the things that carry the most gold, is usually the stuff that's the hardest to do. Because if things were that easy, everybody would do it, right? It would be easy, right? So the hard stuff is where the gold is laying at. And so interesting, years ago I was working with Jerry Whisker, the Y guy, and he said, he looked at my name and we were sort of like connecting with my soul to see what my really my driver is for doing the things that I do. And I would suggest anybody to do that, because it just brings things to more clarity to yourself about who you are or why you're doing things, or why that you feel inspired to do certain things, your deeper why. We also call it your true north. So yesterday I laid some cards, and one of the cards that came up was, again, there was a card coming up about the same similar message of the dung beetle, or the scarab beetle, which was about the cyclical nature of life. And basically about that, because sometimes we go through these cycles and we think that we're no longer where we're at or where we want to be at, but it's just a part of a cycle. Like, it will leave you and then it will come back, but when it comes back, you got to pay attention to the signs, the feelings, the tingles everywhere, right? Like, and tune into it and actually give yourself the time to reconnect with that self, with yourself, with your truest self, so that you can work on these creative parts of yourself, so that you can bring forward the gifts that you are here to bring into the world. We all have gifts to bring into the world. It might be through writing, might be singing, it might be some other sort of artwork, it might be some other sort of healing or service work. But we all have those gifts or abilities that we are here to bring. It's usually not just one thing. It's usually multiple things, right? So on one hand, I was thinking my gift or ability is to do the readings for people. But that's not the only gift or ability that I have. There's other things. And so there's like a right time for everything to do. And if you're feeling yourself called to do it, you got to do it, even if it's hard. And another sign that came back to me as well is the symbology of the mountain, climbing the mountain. So years ago, I had this in meditation where I saw myself laying underneath a mountain, a big mountain, and I was feeling like, should I like climb this mountain, or what am I supposed to do? I can't move, right? The mountain's right on top of me. And I realized that it's not about climbing the mountain, but that I could just move the mountain off me, just move it away and get up. So at the time, that was a message of me not necessarily needing to do all of these things that make me feel overwhelmed. I don't have to do it. You can just move it aside for now and just do other things, or do nothing. Do nothing. And that was the right message at the time for what I was going through and experiencing at that time. But now this symbology is coming back up again, and I'm wondering, like, what else? Like, is it a message that I should just move the mountain aside? And, there's another course I'm supposed to be doing in September already, but I just finished one that took 3 months at the end of July, and I'm like, I'm just not feeling like getting myself emotionally, mentally, physically back into this. Like, there's other things I would like to focus on now. Mainly my psychic work and a couple of events that are scheduled, and then I want to write my book, and and maybe it's about moving that mountain aside so that I can have time and energy to do the things that I am feeling called to do. So, and I hope some of the messages help you too, and I'll talk to you soon.